sometimes when we were writing some of this, not every part, but a couple parts, we would, when we're trying to like come up with stuff, I'd be with Carlos, he does like the studio we work at, and I would record to just like a click track, the vocal line, I heard it in my head and then he would like try to work with that and write around it, like say bend this here if we need to or whatever. So we wrote some parts like that on the last record and this one.
Hey, what's up, Vox and Hops heads? I'm Matt, the vocalist of Cryptopsy and the host of the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast, brought to you by Sound Talent Media and Evergreen Podcasts, where I sit down with fellow metal musicians, talk all about their lives and music while sharing killer craft beers. Hope you had an amazing week. I most certainly did. This Vox and Hops episode is presented by Heavy Montreal. Heavy Montreal are Montreal's premier metal promoter. They put on a bunch of amazing shows all year long here in Montreal. And if you are ever in Montreal and you would like to go see a great show, well, I can guarantee you that Heavy Montreal will have you covered. I'm beyond stoked to have Heavy Montreal behind the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast.
This week on the podcast, I'm very stoked to be back with John Kevill of Warbringer. Get ready, everyone. This is Vox and Hops episode number 493.
I warn you, what you are about to hear is very disturbing indeed.
What's up, everyone? Today I'm very stoked to be back with John Kevill of Warbringer. Third time on the podcast. We talked a lot early in the podcast career as I went back and set this up. You were on episode 86 and then episode 133. I'm approaching 500. It's nice to have you back. How are you?
500 episodes? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Whoa, I had no idea. Well, it's good to be back. Part of the legacy, I suppose, now.
You are the alumni, the ultimate alumni. There's only a few that are up 3 times. I think only 1 or 2 people are at 4. I don't think I have any 5-time return guests, but you never know in the next few years, the way you guys are dropping music, I might just have to.
Oh, well, it's been 5 years, but we are dropping music, so it's good to be back.
That's probably the last time I had you on was for the last one, and now you're doing Wrath and Ruin, coming out March 14th, or came out March 14th, depending how I drop this episode, via Napalm Records. It's been a long time. It's nice to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you too, man. And like we were saying, we'll just kick off with what we were already talking about before we started recording. Warbringer and Cryptos, you're going to tour together. I think first time ever, and it's going to be rad.
Hell, yes, that's exactly why I'm having this chat is... well, to promote your stuff too, obviously, there, but we're doing the Infernal Bloodshed over Europe tour with Decapitated, Cryptopsy, Warbringer, and Carnation from May 3rd all the way to June 7th. I'm excited about this. You were mentioning, I'm going to get you to repeat what you just said. It's cool to have a thrash metal band on a death metal tour. Talk to me about that, how that came to be. You asked your agent that you like touring with thrash metal bands, but you don't just want to tour with them. So how did that conversation go down?
Basically, we're talking about... So Warbringer has toured with a lot, like most thrash metal bands that are around, we have toured with at some point or another. And as always, we're trying to like get our music in front of everybody we can, everyone in the metal sphere. The kind of thrash we play, I think, is generally towards the extreme end of the genre. It tends to be pretty fast and ruthless and stuff. And like, I'm not a melodic singer. I'm screaming the whole time. So, I think we share a border with the death metal genre. At least we got a few songs that lean into it a bit here and there. And it's just like we're looking for people that might be receptive to what we do. And Enzo, our agent, suggested, hey, why don't the death metal scene's like a different scene? I think a lot of people don't like know you as well there. And I'm like, that's a great idea. We should do more of that. Early on, we toured with like Suffocation and Napalm Death and stuff, and we did great in front of those audiences because what we bring is just basically fast and relentless. So, I mean, if you don't like that, that's on you, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, I'm into that. So I think we can do well and play for different audiences and also show some of our versatility as a band. We got 7 records with a bunch of different material on it, and we're going to pull out one of the more brutal sets we can put together, I think, for this one, because I think that's the move.
I think that's interesting, too, that it puts yourself that you guys sort of have to. You don't have to, but it's interesting that you have to, you want to do something more brutal.
Yeah, exactly. Of course we do.
It's like when we toured with Carnifex, we had to pull together a more groove-laden one to hit the deathcore kids. So it's like challenging for a band to do something within their comfort zone, but a little bit different than what they would standardly do.
Well, if it's within I mean, because like every musician, I don't know any musician who is only into exactly one sound. Now, exactly. Like green's my favorite color, but that doesn't mean I don't like blue. You know what I mean? Like that would be stupid, right? I almost feel like the "What's your favorite?" question is loaded and dumb because it's like a bunch of stuff. I don't know what my favorite food is. What's in front of me now? That's probably, as long as it's good, that's probably my favorite. You know what I mean? I got moods, I got preferences based on the minute that change constantly, such as life. But so like I'm really excited to just try to appeal and play to that audience and hope to make some new fans, because there's also no use, like if you're in the thrash metal scene, you probably know about us.
Exactly.
If you're more in the death metal scene, maybe you've heard of us and don't really know it. And and I'm just viewing it as a great opportunity to present what we do in the best light we can. And to what you said regarding like the Carnifex tours, it's like not even a stretch if you already have the material in your catalog. It's like you already wrote that and you wrote it because you thought it was cool.
But maybe, you know, it would never be a song that you were like, oh, I'm going to play this right off the top of your head.
Yeah, maybe not.
It's interesting.
I don't know what the set will be yet because we got to do this U.S. tour first.
Yes, you are, with Allegiant.
Yeah, and that's also kind of death metal. We're doing a lot of death metal this year, so it's sick. You know,
I love it. I think it's great. I skipped over my whole thing. It's Vox&Hops. We hang out with metal friends, talk about life and music while sharing killer beers. Do you have a beer on your side today, John?
Today it's 1 p.m. I don't have a beer, but I can tell you something. Talk about life. I can go off on that for a second. About a year and a half ago, since the last time you talked to me, I moved out of LA.
Really? Okay.
I don't live in LA. I'm coming at you from north central Florida.
Okay.
If you had a map of nowhere, I would be somewhere in the center.
Nice.
A place called Hawthorne. We got like almost nothing in here, and I'm in the middle of a forest.
Nice.
My wife and I went on this crazy project. We needed to buy a house because we don't want to pay rent forever. And yeah, look on your face. And we can't afford shit in California. So here we are. We got this thing for like this house was abandoned for 13 years. Wow. So it was a fixer upper, and then some. I had to cut down like 30, 40 trees to kind of access the place. Wow. It was like that. So big adventure, big leap of faith and whatever, but it's wonderful. We got 3 acres of forest and I have a lake in my backyard.
Holy shit, John, that's sick.
There are foxes, there are deer, there are alligators.
Good for you.
We have a forest, some straight up Snow White and the Seven Dwarf shit going on. We have chickens that lay eggs for us. And there's a forest bird called a guinea fowl that, if you could imagine, it's like a cross between a flamingo and a cinder block. It's not gray. It looks kind of like it's like blocky and gray. And it comes out of the forest every single day to hang out with our chickens.
Wow.
So this kind of shit just makes me utterly delighted. And so I'm coming at you from there. I'm still very much active in the band and touring, but I'm on the other side of the country completely. And it kind of fits, actually. I'll tie that into some of the themes of the record. Some of the themes of the record are interpersonal, like sort of deadness of kind of the dystopic aspects of modern society. And living in Los Angeles, oh boy, that stuff hits you in the face. Out here, it's still going on around me, but I get some insulation from it.
Wow, that's healthy. Good for you to take that leap into adulting hard. It's something that I'm trying to do my best. When you hit your 40s, or you want to adult a little better.
Man, I'm 38 now, and it's weird because I'm like both young and old, and I don't know what to think of it, and on one hand, I'm like worried about, well, let's be responsible and pay ahead on the mortgage so we can pay less interest, and that's like a genuine interest I have. And then I'm like also a complete nerd about some stuff, and I got into one of my big hobbies is I started playing Warhammer 40K, the tabletop war game, competitively. And shit. So that's not exactly adulting.
I got a friend up here. He 3D prints little parts. I'll send you his store.
That's cool.
I'm going to be drinking a beer. This is from Boréale, which is one of the biggest microbreweries up here in Quebec. This is it's good practice for us because it's about Prague, and we're definitely playing Prague. So this is a regard sur Prague, which means a look over Prague, and it's a Sveti Lezaka. I always say this wrong. It's a light Czech lager. 5%. I'm going to crack this. You're not drinking because it's 1 p.m. and your press has you doing stuff all day long.
Well, also my like wife and I are doing stuff after, so I didn't, midday beer is not where I'm at right now. But on the tour, we'll see. I got a beer that first off looks lovely, and Czech lagers are fantastic. One of the best archetypes of beer. I gotta say, I'm sorry, Germany. I think the Czechs have you beat by a hair on the lagers. Like the German lagers are fantastic, but the Czech lagers, like,
I'm with you on that one. Yeah.
Yeah, Team Czech. Czech is amazing.
With the proper pours, the Milko pours, or the half foam pours.
Yeah, they're very foamy. I like those too. Apparently, they have a style where they pour it where it's almost all foam. I just saw that the other day.
It's called a Milko. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you must. I got one. It's just something you can. It's a pretty good. So something I'll do in the summers here. Because it gets hot and swampy where I'm at. I'm in the swampy forest. There is a common brand from around here called Cigar City Brewing, which is like a solid, one of those like microbrews you'll find on the grocery store. And they have one called Florida Man, which I now am. And it's like this ridiculous, it's like a 9% IPA. Now, those are usually, usually a little stronger than I like to drink straight. But I found on hot days, about 60% that, 40% like pink grapefruit juice, not sweet, not the sweet kind, is just freaking fantastic. Because like you cut that 8 to like a 5-6, and the hops and the citrus. There's a lot of beers that do that as is. So making kind of a rattler out of it, I drink those constantly in the summer here.
That's a good idea. The first time I spoke with you, you were not drinking on tour, but that's not something that you keep up anymore.
No, I keep it under wraps. I don't like drink like heavy. I don't do heavy metal level drinking, I'll say, because I mean, as you know, that can be kind of tough on the voice. And
you had mentioned, and it really stuck with me, that the vocal cords are one of the last things to get rehydrated when you are dehydrated.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you felt it. You and I both have had. So we drank too much before a show, and then you don't feel great about how you sounded. Mm-hmm. And people, the worst for me is when people tell you like, you sound great tonight, and then you're fine, like you're a professional vocalist, you're not going to sound like crap, but you know what you're capable of, and you know where you were at that day. You're like, don't tell me I did good, I know what good is,
Last time it happened to me was in Portland at Dante's. You've probably played there, the burlesque place at night, and we had gone to Wayfinder during the day, and I was on stage, and I wasn't drunk. It was just a dehydration thing, and I felt it. It's not pain, it's not anything. It's just so dry, and it's just not what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, you gotta like watch it when you go for the extended screams, because you have to. You know how it is. Like you're always trying to push the scream for as long as you have breath and before you crack, and you'll like feel when that is, and it's like suddenly a lot sooner, and you're like, what?
Yeah, open face surgery screams. Yes, but
that one. That's an infamous scream indeed. I'm glad I don't have to do that one.
I am going to do my darndest to get it out of the set list by the time we hit the European tour with you. Last time we spoke, you were talking about writing lyrics without even hearing guitar riffs. Is that something you continue doing on the new one, or did you just go back to your old ways? Because I think it was sort of new on the last one that you were doing that.
I kind of had a little of that always, but it kind of actually went more on this one, because we would say, like, as you know, when you've written several records in a certain genre or style, you then have, as an artist, you have the challenge of, what do I add to this?
Yeah. How can I make it still interesting for me?
For me, for listeners, for the sake of all, so I'm going, how can I make my work still interesting and valuable? And a lot of that, at least from where I'm coming at, since I'm not playing the guitars or whatever, is the lyrical angle. So a lot of times, just like I was telling you, it would be like the title and the lyric shows up, and then that would inform what the riff should be. Now, in the case of the single we already put out, A Better World, Adam had that riff existing, but we chose to build the song around that after the lyric. Not a full thing existed, but some of the core lines and ideas. So I'll never like write the whole lyric and then put it there, but I'll have like 30% of it or whatever.
That's super interesting that it comes from like core lines and like shirt back prints, and that's where a song comes from. And where do these come from? Is it like you actively sit to write something, or is it stuff that like pops into your head while you're cutting down trees?
pops in my head cutting down trees. Yeah, it's that 100%. Because if it like comes to you and then you don't, the test is this: if it pops into your head and you don't write it down, and then you remember it a couple weeks later, it's probably good.
That's
then
a good one.
It.
Yeah. Okay. Everything's a notepad with me. I'm constantly notepadding stuff. If anything pops up,
I kind of started there, and then I had like this shared Google Doc with the band that kind of was the beginning of the record conceptually, where it'd be like song title. Here's what I imagine the riffs like, a few musical references. So like Better World, I'm like,
that's awesome.
Think like some of the early 90s Melodeath, like the At the Gates when they played fast, and so, like the fast songs in those, where this slash beat throughout. I'm like, because that's adjacent to us. Adam in particular really likes that style of riffing and whatever. And it has, to me, it always had like kind of a futuristic sound to it, some of those single note riffs and stuff. And so I'm like, that's suitable for this idea I have in the lyrics. It's like, I think it came out great in that way. Like, I love it when.
So you envision, when you're writing lyrics, you're actually envisioning how you're going to deliver them? Is that what?
Yeah, mostly.
Like tempo wise and how you would fire them off?
Sometimes when we were writing some of this, not every part, but a couple parts, we would, when we're trying to like come up with stuff, I'd be Carlos, he does like the studio we work at. And I would record to just like a click track, the vocal line. I heard it in my head and then he would like try to work with that and write around it, like say bend this here if we need to or whatever. So we wrote some parts like that on the last record and this one. Yeah, where
that's so cool. It's so different from Cryptopsy. That's so interesting. Lyrics and vocals first, and then like you painting like a landscape that they have to fill in to meet what you're envisioning. It's interesting.
Yeah, it is, and there's a give and take there too, because like
it's the early '90s at the gates.
For that, right. No, but it kind of ends up that way, and I'll put those references. We're all fairly literate in the canon of existing metal and stuff, so I can compare to stuff. And then what I get back isn't always like what I expected, but I keep an open mind and work with it.
Yeah, that's maturity. And creating and also, 7 albums.
Yeah, I got good musicians in my corner, so like I'm just trying to like prompt them or give them a spark of something to write, and I think that helps.
Here's a cookie.
That helps keep it like cookies if you will. Keep it like artistically focused in a way, and I'm also like, as a lyricist, I kind of gotta reject the notion that lyrics are an afterthought in the music, because I think like it's the synergy of all existing elements that I want, right? And I'm trying to push myself to write stuff I think is interesting. So on this record, the main themes are kind of like, I'd say class power. I'd say like
which is that. Very fitting with what's going on in your country right now.
And like from like mostly the individual level, like I'm a person trapped in this, and from like when we put out Weapons of Tomorrow, we couldn't tour it because this freaking pandemic, and then that was used as an opportunity for the people who are already incomprehensibly rich to become far more so, while the price of everything goes up and you get the same amount of, so like more is being extracted from you. And you know it, you feel it, and I'm going, and so this Better World song is very much that. Like, what if, because a lot of the times people write songs about dark times, like, and then optimistically somehow we overcome, and I'm like, I don't think so. And I think just facing that reality straight on, like, is honest in a way, and heartfelt, quite frankly. And I tried to have it come off that way. I think it can be really tough to write about certain like modern topics without having it be very like preachy or on the nose. And so my kind of antidote to that problem, I perceive, is because there's some songs that come out like damn goddamn cell phones, and it's not that I'm mad about that. It's that it's like the fact that this communications technology turned into a surveillance network, or instead of a way to connect people, etc. That's the stuff I'm mad about. And I think just hitting it from like the eye level. I'll be real too, is during this period I got kind of depressive, and I went to a therapist, and I go, Doc, yeah, well, so good for me, but I got nothing out of it. And that was kind of what led to this song. I go in there and I'm like, Doc, so I'm worried, I'm married with this wonderful wife now. We have a happy marriage. We've sorted out a lot of our personal issues and we really like where we're at. But, as far as I can tell, like the future, if I do have kids with this wonderful wife, what kind of future are they going to get? That's a legitimate ethical question that troubles me. It's still where I'm at now. And then what kind of future am I going to have? Am I ever going to retire? I know that basically like state and corporate entities are doing very efficient, intelligent plans to exploit me and everyone else to the maximal extent, and they're going to get better at it next year. And then and they're like, well, basically and I'm like, and I've been reading about this, like academic sources and shit, trying to really learn about it. And they're basically like, yeah, that's true. And they're like, we can give you antidepressants and you can numb yourself. And one of the things I read was in this book, Capitalist Realism by Mark Fisher, 2009. The author committed suicide, if that tells you anything about the tone.
My God.
He talks about mental health. And he says, hey, so you go to the doctor and they'll tell you that you feel depressed because you have low serotonin or whatever. And they're like, that might make sense on an individual level. But why is it that everyone has lower serotonin now? Right? And they're saying basically that what we'll do is we'll blame the big picture problems, the macro problems on you on the individual level. It's not that something's wrong with you, that you're not adapting to this. I'm like, no, it's not. I'm rational, goddammit. And so I tried to bottle all that into this Better World song. And I think also my band was super skeptical when I came at them with that title.
Oh, yeah? They were worried. Oh, yeah.
They're like, what? That doesn't sound right. Like, it's cynical. It's dark,
Well, it's beautiful that you're using your music and your lyrics as a therapeutic mode of just getting it out of you, catharsism. Because the system, the health system wasn't there for you. They just wanted to numb it.
Yeah, I gotta take my fucking drugs because that's what I need to get through the day, and so on and so forth. Whatever form that may take. I ended up not doing the antidepressants because I had some, they put me on drugs when I was a kid because I wasn't super adapted to the school system. So I'm 30 milligrams of Adderall a day in the 5th grade, and that kind of colored my view towards. And I work in education now. Right.
That's right. I always forget that.
Yeah, I'm doing some of that as well. It's my job that's not metal. And I see all these kids who it's like you're giving these kids a system of education that kind of just it's very another brick in the wall, if you will. And then you act like there's something wrong with the kid if he doesn't thrive in that. Like, the kids are rational. Like, they're normal.
We don't all fit. We don't all fit into the pegs.
Most don't, because what do you want to be when you grow up? If you ask a kid that's not what your dad or your teacher or whatever actually means. They mean, how are you going to be useful to the economy? It's not who do you want to be, it's what. And if you answer I want to be a painter. Get real, you fucker.
That could be a backup plan.
No, that's not about. Don't quit your day job. That's what it's about. Really, numbers, man. No, it's some brutal stuff that's just under the current. And when I see my own conflicts with my family when I was young, or the kids I'm teaching and their anxieties about their parents judging them, it's all that. And I'm like, none of the parents
who
didn't
do you
even
want to be? I like that. Who do you want to be?
Who do you want to be like? Oh. But yeah, so anyway, that's kind of some of my thoughts around specifically the songs A Better World and Cage of Air on the record. Cage of Air is a metaphor for the socioeconomic forces around your life, which sounds boring, but then you think about it, you're like, I have free choice the way a rat in an experimental maze has free choice. You do a certain thing and you get the reward. I believe our society is constructed in such a way as well. So there's no, the chorus line there is, I see no walls around me, but the bars are always there. And I'm like, that's a good line.
And then Cage of Air comes in and rhymes with it, doesn't it?
It does. It does. You got, my guitarist Adam says that I am a, quote, Mother Goose motherfucker.
I brought rhymes in on the new Cryptopsy for the first time in years.
Oh, you generally don't. I can't not.
I adamantly didn't do it on purpose, and then we played Blasphemy Made Flesh last year at MDF, and as I'm learning it, everything rhymes on that record, and I was like, this is interesting, let's try it.
Yeah.
So it was freeing, but yet constraining, but yet interesting and catchy when it all worked out. especially when it just happens naturally.
That's cool, yeah, because you can't
force
if
a
you try
rhyme.
to force rhymes, you end up with lame ass bars.
Exactly.
You know? And we've heard a lot of stock and cliche rhymes, and you try to steer away from those and come up with shitty
something interesting together and get no. What about this whole move and then writing in this new environment? Did that?
I wrote a lot of the record when I was still in LA.
Okay.
But then I would come out some to finish it. And we recorded with Mark Lewis in Hendersonville near Nashville.
Yeah.
And we all stayed there for a month. And it was great.
What's that? Is that the first time you did something so immersive like that?
No, generally I like to more or less, because when we did the last two, it was near us, but I would be in the studio
the
first
whole
thing
time.
in the morning until, it was like 8-hour days there. And I think that's just what I want to do for a record, because those things will be around when I'm dead. And so it's one of it's one of my best contributions of my own self to the world as I see it. You might see it the same. And therefore, I want to just be as much into it and about it as possible. I'm lucky
awesome.
to even have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
You can't forget
just
that.
up and walk away and jump into, because tours, there's incomes coming in. Taking a month off for a tour, there's an income. Taking a month off for a record is an expense. But it's tough to take off that time. But that's amazing. Mark Lewis is one of the handful of just people just crushing it. David Taro himself. There's like a handful of people that are just crushing at this moment. So that's awesome. He had that experience.
He did great production work, and I think we have like the most big sound that we've ever had.
Awesome. That's exciting.
And I got along with the guy well. I found him really humorous.
I met him only once when we were touring with Cannibal, and he came out to a show in Florida, but it was probably before he moved up to where he is now. And we had some drinks at a bar. I remember that.
Don't remember what we said, but things were said.
No, we got along. No, we did. I remember that. That's awesome. What about like you reading other people's lyrics? Is that something you actively do? And like how when you hear like a new one of your bands drop something, other lyricists out there that inspire you and that you're excited to hear their new record because you want to live their lyrics with them.
Yeah, well, even not live. I'm just like, let's see what bars they got here. What would they hit at? What are they writing about? So I'll look at some of our contemporaries in the thrash world, like when, say, Haddox put something out, he talks about all social topics. I think he has like a different view of me, but I'm still interested. One thing that struck me is I actually dug into, we're touring with Skeletal Remains soon, and I looked at some of their lyrics, and it's fucked up death metal shit, and but I was like, well done, fucked up death metal shit. Some of the lyrics for like some of their songs. That's one of the ones I looked at more recently. Dissectacy, which is like through just like what's the fucking word for chopping off limbs I'm looking for, but through like cutting up your own body, pleasure beyond ejaculation or something. That's classic fucked up death metal shit, and I just like when you hit the right images and stuff that makes me go, like, gives me a vibe and a feeling. So for some of that stuff, or just like that, that like, like it's the thought train of a serial killer and makes one wonder about those dark impulses in the human condition, So I'm into some of that sometimes. I think there's like ones I like more than others, but I'm just interested in ideas and thoughts and stuff. There's stuff in not metal at all that interests me with what they do lyrically. And to be honest, though, I've been like not listening to nearly enough music lately, and that's like something I need to correct with myself, because like I have to, I think, stay more immersed than I am currently. And I'm hoping being on tour, I'm kind of like out of it. I'm in the middle of forest, so. And I'm also too prone to just listening to the same like old metal shit I already know.
Is what you're 38. You said this is what happens. That's the problem. We just go back and listen to what we used to listen to, and that's it. And then anything new, we listen to the new stuff, and we're like, nah, that's good, but it's not this. You go back to that record you listened to when you're 18 years old.
It's true, in film as well. I don't know if I'm going to action movie that makes me stoked, like Terminator and
Hell
Alien.
yes. Yeah, I've given up. I watch movies on tour there, and I'm like, fuck it. I'm going back and I'm listening to old movies. Fuck these new Netflix movies. I'm going to download The Talented Mr. Ripley, and I'm going to fucking love it.
Yeah.
Again.
I mean, don't watch Conan the Barbarian with me. I'll just like quote every line.
Oh,
you know?
yeah. If we could do that, hopefully the entertainment system works on the bus. I'll say that.
Oh, dude, I'll just like periodically like recite monologues from that one. There's a few great ones. James Earl Jones's bad guy philosophy lesson is the best part.
Perfect. Okay. What are some things that we can expect from the Warbringer camp on a tour? For myself, there'll be a lot of fans bringing out some beers that I'll share with everyone. That's a trademark thing that comes when you tour with Cryptops. You end up getting a bunch of free beer from Vox&Hops heads. What is something that comes from the Warbringer camp? What do you guys do? What's like a ritual that people might not know?
Shit, that's actually a weird question. I'm not sure that we really have any. We kind of just get on and do our job, I guess. But what you'll get is I'll periodically go into an extended rant about something.
On stage or just off stage?
No, not on stage. On stage, I've taken the attitude of less talk, more action.
More songs, yeah. Well, we have short set. We got 45 minutes. I don't know what you guys are. Probably around that, too.
Around there, I think.
You know, like, so it's so hard with 7 albums, us two are around there, to pick a set list, and you're showcasing new material at the same time. It's a difficult conversation to put together.
Yeah, because that's like 9-10 songs.
Exactly.
You know? And so we usually try to be like 1, 2, 3, then say hello. Because I think
same. Yeah.
Yeah, because it also speaks volumes if the band just comes in there and you can tell these fuckers mean business.
Oh yeah, yeah, I agree.
They're not like, how you all doing tonight? We're just like
enough talk. Let's just play. Decapitate will talk to you later. But but off stage, like people. So for instance, we were just in South America, and one night in Santiago, Chile, there are some like Chilean dudes there, and we're like at first we're like having a beer, and they had a pizza in the hotel lobby, so I'm like they give me some pizza, and I'm happy about that. And we end up talking about like the political history of the last 70 years in the United States and Latin America and how we all feel about that. And these guys were like, I was learning stuff from them, and they were like, oh, you read shit about Chile? And I'm like, yes. I'm interested. Tell me more. I want to learn stuff. And it's like those kind of things. Because you'll run into people who, like everyone's, like when you see fans as a mass, it's one thing, but then you run into individuals and they have all these different interests and all this knowledge, and there's no way you could have all of it possibly. So it's one of the real great gifts, I think, of being a musician is people just want to talk to you. Yeah.
And
the ice is already broken because it's their relationship with the band.
Yeah, well, they're like, we like your music, and I'm like, I like that you like our music, because then we get to play, and you can't forget that. So there's a basic level of just general goodwill there, and so I get into some of that sometimes, and I'm also typically I'll like do that and try to have like random quote intellectual conversations with random people to learn stuff, and then I usually have like 4 or 5 repeating dumb jokes that become like a
good. I like that. Yeah, that's a Cryptopsy thing too. Good.
One of the last ones we did a tour with like Evil Invaders and Schizophrenia and there's other and Mason from Australia in Europe about a year and a half ago, and the best joke we had there was that of Dime Guys. So Dime Guys, like guys who just like worship Pantera, like the local guy with the Dean Razorback.
Understood. Yeah.
And our joke was that, I'll tell you, brother, I met Dime once, and I'll never forget what he said to me. I said, Dime, you're the greatest guitar player of all time, and I'll never forget what he said next. He said, okay, man. That was a running joke. So anytime someone like got too excited, he'd be like, okay, man.
Okay, I like jokes like that.
And that ran for like a month.
Fantastic.
And people are still, the WhatsApp tour chat from that is like still on there, and anytime anyone sees any Pantera anything, they'll like put a text. And I like Pantera for the record.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Everyone does. We live in close quarters together. We're all going to be sharing a bus, Decapitated, Warbringer, Cryptopsy. We're going to have a good time. Get your tickets, people. Come hang out with us. One last question, the classic. I can't remember if I look back, but I'm not sure I had my wrap-up question back in the day. We won't need it on tour because we're going to be so goddamn responsible. What is your hangover cure?
Fuckload of greasy food.
That's good in the UK. We're starting in the UK, so we got that covered right there.
Oh my God, UK fried chicken street food is a different, like, I'm in America, okay? And that was intense to me, right? Like, I'm in the American South, and I was like, God damn, there was so much grease in that chicken breading that it, like, was wet.
So you just got to keep that under your bunk just in case.
Under my bunk, yeah, and then I'll forget about it.
Exactly. You pick it up day one because we're playing that festival. I love that. That's a thing. We're kicking off this tour with a massive show. That's going to be fun.
Oh, yeah, always great. Hey, and let's hope that those club shows are massive, too. I'll tell you, my measure of should I be stoked for a tour or not is, would I go see that show?
Exactly.
I would go.
I go see the show. It's going to be really sick. John, thank you so much for coming back on the podcast. Third time. Come to our tour, people. Come see him in the North America, too. I might pop in because you're coming to Montreal. I know that. And, I would love to see you again. Massive cheers, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day.
Cheers to all. Thanks for listening, and hope you all enjoy the new record.
Hey, thank you all so much for listening right today. You know that I love and appreciate that. Man, do I ever love hanging out with John Kevill, and I am so goddamn excited to hang out with him for over a month on the Infernal Bloodshed Over Europe tour that is going to be kicking off at the beginning of May and running all the way until June 7th. It's just going to be a blast. So excited about John's approach to writing lyrics, the way that he crafts his lyrics with riffs in mind. I just think it's mind-blowing. It's so different than Cryptopsy, and I cannot wait to pick his brain more on the Infernal Bloodshed Over Europe tour. I hope that you're enjoying the new Warbringer album, Wrath and Ruin, that just dropped, and I cannot wait to hear a bunch of those songs on this tour. It's going to be a blast. Massive cheers to you, John. Cannot wait to hang out with you again.
The Vox and Hops Metal Podcast is brought to you by Sound Talent Media and Evergreen Podcasts. I hope that you have a killer rest of the week. Remember to enjoy life, metal, and craft beer. Cheers, Vox and Hops heads.